It was a beautiful Sunday morning, and Chris and I were heading west. And this isn't actually footage of that day because I usually don't record our highway commutes, but this is the highway. And it was pretty much like this, except there was a lot less traffic because it was very early in the morning. And then I felt this strange tightening in the handlebars, and I thought it might be the steering damper, and then I thought it might be the headset bearings. And then it dawned on me, I think my front tire is going flat. Now, I don't have any footage of the actual crash, so just close your eyes and imagine this. You feel that wiggling, you decide not to jam on the brakes, so you roll off the throttle, and you decide to drift over to the shoulder, but then you notice there's a guardrail along the far side of the shoulder, and you don't want to get too close to it, so you slow down, and just as you get to the edge of the slow lane in the shoulder, the tire peels off the rim, and now you're basically riding on the metal edge of the front wheel, at which point the bike does a 90-degree left turn, despite you turning the handlebars to the right, crosses both lanes of the highway, and then slams itself down on the fast lane.
Recording while all this happened?
No, sadly I was not recording. That was my scooter.
I think you're alright.
And of course, the first thing I did once I stood up was turn on my GoPro. And it was actually very quiet. And I could hear water running. And my right leg was all wet. And initially I thought it might be blood. But then when I looked down, I realized it was water. And it was the water in my camelback running out because I'd blown the hose off my camelback when I was tumbling. And then I saw Chris running towards me, and Chris looked really freaked out, and that actually started to freak me out. And then we both ran into the highway, made sure there was no cars coming, and dragged the F800 off onto the grass. At this point, I'd pretty much determined that I wasn't seriously hurt. So we took stock of the bike, which looked in surprisingly good condition, and decided that we'd better get it over onto the right-hand shoulder of the road and come up with some sort of a plan. Now, one of the advantages of having dropped this bike a couple of hundred times was that I wasn't overly concerned with the cosmetics, and I was actually kind of just pissed off at myself right now because I hadn't brought my full toolkit, which I always bring, and on this particular day, because we were just going for what was supposed to be a very short ride, and of course which turned out to be a very, very short ride, I hadn't brought my toolkit. So I was starting to ponder how we were going to get this front tire off and repaired on the side of the highway. Finally, there was a lull in traffic, and we nursed the poor bike across the 2 lanes of traffic and onto the shoulder. It was at this point that I could feel myself coming down from the big adrenaline surge, so I flicked out the side stand, and then I decided, you know what, I think I'm just gonna go have a little sit down here and try to regain my composure. And while I was doing that, Chris decided to sprint across the road and look through the grass and see if he could find some parts of my helmet that were missing. And while he was doing that, I was taking a breather. And I was also starting to realize that there was a lot more traffic now, so it's a good thing this accident had happened 5 minutes ago. And of course, I couldn't resist taking a quick look at the bike. And now there's the water running. That was my camelback. The zipper on the camelback up behind my neck was actually welded shut from heat. So I guess I did a little bit of sliding and tumbling before I came to a full stop. I decided I'd do a little more thorough inventory of myself, and amazingly enough, the only actual damage to my body was a tiny bit of road rash on my right hand wrist. Chris returned from his reconnaissance, and he'd actually managed to find my bracelet, which had come off, which I got when my kids were born, so I was pretty glad to see that again. And he'd found a few zipper parts from my pants, and that's when I realized that my BMW pants were destroyed, but they did their job and I had no road rash on my legs. And we never did find the chin piece and a few other parts of my helmet. And at this point, we came up with a brilliant plan. We would call Henrik, who lived about a half an hour away, and tell him to get his sorry ass out of bed on a Sunday morning, hook up his trailer to his pickup, and come and get us. Now, while we're waiting for Henrik, why don't we talk about some quick statistics? I've been riding at this point for about 25 years, and not quite sure what my total mileage on the road would be, but we're talking several 100,000 kilometers. And this is actually the first time I've ever had a real accident and hit the ground. And I gotta say, it was kind of an interesting experience, because normally when you're off-roading and something happens, you can kind of look back on it and say, man, if I'd done this differently, the crash wouldn't have happened. And even on the road, when you have a close call that doesn't result in a crash, you tend to think, next time I'm going to do this differently. And in this case, I found it kind of frustrating, because I check over my bike regularly. It's well maintained. So I kind of felt a little bit powerless, in the sense that I was driving along, minding my own business on a beautiful sunny day, and the next thing you know, I'm sliding down the road on my ass. But after thinking about it for a while, it kind of dawned on me that I guess I could have done things a bit differently. When I first felt that strangeness in the steering, instead of thinking about it for a second or two, I should have just automatically started slowing down right away. And who knows, if I'd reacted a little quicker, I could have just been a guy standing on the side of the road with a flat tire, instead of a guy sliding down the road with a flat tire. Chris called Henrik, and it took him quite a while to convey all the information necessary to Henrik so that Henrik could come and get us, because it did indeed seem that he was in a deep sleep when the phone rang, so we knew for sure we were in for a bit of a wait.
He sounds very disoriented.
So we just phoned Henrik, and how did he sound?
He did not sound like he was in very good shape.
He's super hungover or what?
I don't know if he's hungover or if he was up all night with Catherine, but he did not sound good. He sounded very disoriented. He had a hard time understanding which road we were on.
But he's bringing the trailer?
He said he's hooking up the trailer and he's on his way.
Excellent.
So we could be there a little while.
Yes, man, we should have had coffee.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we got a good
That's unfortunate.
45
I don't
minutes.
have the rear seat on my bike, because we could have just gone to a coffee shop.
waited for him.
Yeah.
That's all right. Oh, my poor baby. Holy crap.
Yeah. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I am too, actually.
Woo!
I'm just glad that, man, if there'd been cars.
Yeah, well, that's
would've
it.
been
When you have
fucked.
to do that cross on the other side. I did notice you checked your blind spot as you were crossing. Do you remember?
Always check your blind spot.
It was quite surreal, actually, watching you wobble across
Yeah.
the road and do that. I guess, if you are going to be hit,
You
want to
know
about it.
Yes. Well, I must have been here. Where did I hit the ground?
Must have been around here. It's a little further up, actually. I was just looking for the piece of your helmet. I didn't see it up.
So Chris and I decided to try to find a couple of pieces of my helmet that were missing. and also take a look at what damage had been done to the road, you can see here that the spot I slid down was actually this weird corrugated resurfaced texture, which was really super abrasive.
Yeah, see, here's where I went down. You can see the beginning here. This is the beginning here, and then these are the scrape marks.
Oh yeah, not much though.
And then look, I landed in this nice soft gravel.
You parked it. Some people would call that parking.
This is the spot where I basically came to a stop. And then, of course, for posterity, I thought I might as well pace off the length of the scratch marks. I think the bike actually fell down a little before these started because my body kept it up off the ground.
The scrape marks are 8 paces long, so that's about 25 feet. All right, well, I think it's time for a new helmet anyways.
We never did find the chin piece to my helmet.
A little shave action on the buckle.
Piece of tape they can put
Now, one of the other contributing factors to this crash was certainly the fact that Chris and I hadn't had any coffee yet. So I was going to stay here with the injured bike, and Chris was going to jump on his 1150 GS and go on a little coffee run. Now, all kidding aside, it probably didn't help that both Chris and I were a little groggy. We tend to get up, at 6 o'clock in the morning or so on these Sundays to go riding, and we kind of treat this little highway commute to Hawkesbury in a very nonchalant way because we get to Hawkesbury and that's where we go to the Tim Hortons and have a coffee and a donut. So I probably wasn't 100% awake when this little adventure began. In short order, Chris returned with a bag dangling from his handlebar because, of course, he didn't have any bungee net or anything with him to carry the coffee and donuts.
Coffee!
The Tim Hortons over there is under major renovations.
Yeah.
And they are working out of a
trailer?
4x8 trailer.
Oh, nice.
And they don't have plastic bags, so I had to go bag it
Where'd you get the bag?
at the gas station right beside the
Nice,
thing.
nice.
And Henrik called me. Tina and Henrik are on the way.
Nice.
Those donuts are in questionable state now. Coffee's minor spillage. Look at this.
Not bad, not bad.
Minor spillage.
You know everything's gonna be all right
When the Tim Hortons coffee
when the Tim Hortons coffee arrives.
Shortly after that, Henrik drove by. He was going to have to go up to the next exit and loop around. And Mrs. Henrik showed up. Tina arrived with baby in tow. Followed shortly by Henrik in the mighty B3000. All the performance of a 4-cylinder with the gas mileage of a V8.
Whoa! Good!
With some pretty poor backing up. It's only halfway into the slow lane, and Tina decided she didn't want to get killed, so she moved far up ahead and kind of tucked herself in front of the guardrail.
Pull over more, Bill! We're waiting for you!
Some road rash. You got down?
Oh, yeah!
You okay?
Yeah, pull up there, Bill. Get out of the road.
I guess Henrik was asleep because he didn't seem to have caught the part where Chris told him I crashed. Then we noticed something truly horrible.
No awesome player sticker on his trailer.
Sacrilege.
There we go. That's good.
Good?
Hey, Bill.
happening?
What are you doing here?
Eh?
What are you doing here?
You look awfully chipper.
What's happening? Let's see. Nothing.
Oh,
All
good,
right.
good. Little shavage. It's quite exciting. Oh, man-on-man action. Hey.
So what's happened? What happened here?
Front tire just blew.
Oh.
It was quite
It was
exciting.
very exciting for a few minutes.
And how is the beast?
Ah, good. Crash bars took yet another shaving.
All right.
A little more abrasion.
Okay.
Not bad, not bad.
Well, I would say I would call this lucky. It doesn't
Yeah.
look too bad.
No, it's
It
good.
was. You should have seen it though, because we were in the right-hand lane, and all of a sudden Riley started pulling over the shoulder, and then I saw this kind of dramatic twitch, and then this slow wobble as he tried.
And then I cut across both lanes into the ditch on the other side.
And you ended up in the ditch again.
Well, he came over here, he made it onto the shoulder, and then the bike just decided to turn left. So as he's
Crossed both lanes,
Yeah.
shoo, shoo, and
as
then it
he's
went down on the right.
halfway across the road, I see this very slow blind spot check, as if he could do anything about it. Got to the other shoulder, and then the front end just went.
So
down.
listen, the actual landing happened on the grass.
No,
No, on the shoulder.
like on the shoulder, or almost on the shoulder.
Yeah. Anyways, let's load it up, boys.
This looks good. Really is okay.
Yeah, I think everything's primo.
You got lucky. You got lucky because nothing else took a beating. The bike didn't flip.
Adventure
it
spec
was-
crash bars are excellent.
He managed to scrub enough speed I think,
Right.
by the time.
Yeah, that's how it is, boys.
At this point, there wasn't much else to do but go eat.
Well, anyway, I figure we catch her at the next exit.
All right, we're going to Moe's for breakfast. So off we went. The final tally for the crash was one Shoei Hornet helmet destroyed, one pair of BMW riding pants destroyed, one pair of leather gloves destroyed, one pair of motocross boots, slightly shaved off buckles, but I'm still wearing them, and I felt pretty sore for about 3 or 4 days. Damage to the bike was one missing bolt on the handguard, which I replaced. A little bit of abrasion on the engine guards, a little bit of abrasion on the luggage rack, and a little bit of chafing on the passenger peg. And that was it. Later on when I got home, I looked at the tire, and it appears to have just been some sort of a puncture from some road debris. And so ends another larger than usual adventure for the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club. And on this particular day, I was home well before noon. Thanks for watching.